when it says it's clear. Hello, everyone.
Today we are talking about how to get out of debt.
Woohoo. Oh, did I sound excited?
Facebook is also on, so you're live on both.
All right, guys. Today we are talking how to get out of debt. 5 ways to get out of debt. Can you do it?
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
What?
I could have shipped all those.
Those are signed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Today, guess what came in? Oh, hallelujah. 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 I started off too high. Okay.
I can't go any higher than that today. Got a little frog in my throat.
Our 20th anniversary edition of Dining on a Dime Cookbook is here. It arrived this morning. So, did you see the garage, Jack?
Oh, yes.
Is it full of
There's like
books?
5 pallets of books.
There's a lot of books, isn't there?
Whoa, how is the book signing coming along?
So, well, I had to stop signing and start packing because I had no one to help me today.
What?
So Tara, who absolutely despises shipping books, if there's one thing I hate, it's shipping books. And every year I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I have like 5 people hired working for us, and none of them could help me ship books today. So Tara was not a happy camper.
But tomorrow we're going to be hot on the trail.
But tomorrow we have 3 additional people coming. So,
Plus,
Including Jack.
plus
Jack.
I was doing something else today, so
Yes.
I'll be here too.
So hopefully tomorrow we got, I don't know, what's 12 times 12?
144?
Shipped out today. The first 144 shipped out today.
Woohoo! Oh, did you tell them
So-
about what we discovered this morning? That our Christmas sale was overly popular?
So then this morning, Mike woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning and we discovered that we sold 200 20th anniversaries more than we had ordered.
Oops. I think we thought that
So,
after the other sale, we were thinking it would be a little less crazy.
so here's the thing. If you ordered from November 21st or earlier, October 15th to November 21st, you will get your order for sure. But after November 21st, if you ordered after November 21st, we're going to see how many books we can get shipped of those orders. And then if you ordered after then, you may get an email saying that you will either have the option of a refund or a book with a free penny pension and menus. Because the books, the next order of books, the second printing of the 20th anniversary edition, this is something we should be super
We've never
excited
had a book
about.
sell out before it got here before.
We've never had that happen.
Never.
And
We had a lot of
And,
crazy things happen, but never that.
so those will not arrive till February 15th, though. 20th? What day did we put? 15th or 20th?
We said the 20th.
February
We just know
20th.
sometime in
Just
February.
February 20th.
Yes, boss.
February 20th. Don't be saying you're promising nothing.
I didn't promise nothing.
So anyway,
So we actually called like this morning, the second thing after putting a note out saying, whoa, can't buy any more.
now, the classic edition of Dining on a Dime is on sale until midnight tonight. Well, technically when Mike wakes up in the morning, but
Where is it?
I don't have it. The classic edition of Dining on a Dime is on sale until probably around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. It is still on sale. It's only $17. If you want the classic edition, you can still get those in time for Christmas. And they're a great deal. So, I am going to sit here and keep signing books while we discuss 5 ways to get out of debt
Ooh, I can't wait to hear.
and save money. This is the first Mike and Tara show.
It is?
I think it is. The first Mike and Tara show.
Okay, cool.
Episode number 1.
Lots of people are saying too bad if they lived closer, they would love to come help.
Oh, believe me.
We would love to have you
I
come
would
out.
love to have you come help. And what happened was when we pre-ordered the books, we did not have enough cash to order 5,000 instead of 2,500.
We wanted to.
So we just ordered what we could pay cash for right then. Well, we have never sold out before, so we didn't know that would even be a problem. So anyway, it's a good problem to have. It just really caught us off guard. And so, yeah. All right.
Oh, by the way, Shelly says today is my husband and my 39th wedding anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary to you.
Yay.
And I'm so proud of you for not killing him. Good job. Good job.
Yes, Heidi. It does hurt.
Heidi, what?
Heidi says, poor Mike, your voice sounds like your throat hurts. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I have what Dave had last week. Now
Yeah.
Dave has it worse.
All right. 5 tips to get out of debt. Are we ready?
Ooh, Nancy says your cookbook would look great in an Easter basket. We'll
Oh,
have
it
more
would.
by then.
We'll have more by then. So, okay. Are we
Getting out of
ready
debt. Sure.
to get out of debt? So, 5 tips to get out of debt. Tip number 1. Okay, let me just, how do we say this? These tips,
Get it together, people.
these tips are for people who are working and they're worn out and they're spending more money than they're earning. They've got their kids in daycare. They're up the wazoo in debt with student loan, car loans, that kind of thing. And so these tips are going to be for you. Now, we're going to talk about other tighter tips also in between there. But just so you know, I know there's going to be 1,500 people saying, well, you don't know X situation. I'm doing this. These are general tips, guys. Use what you can and just ignore the rest. Okay? All right. So, here we go. Number 1 tip. Stop working. Gasp. You didn't know I was going to say that, did
I'm
you?
all over that one.
All right. So, here's my thing on that. If you are a mom and you have 1 or 2 kids and you are working because you guys can't afford to live on 1 income, I would like to suggest that you consider stop working and live on 1 income. Now, you can do this several ways. You can make it so that you and your husband switch back and forth. 1 works during the day, 1 works at night. 1 works during the week, 1 works on weekends. I'm not going to tell you it's pleasant. It's not. But these are things that you need to do to get out of debt and get yourself stabilized so your debt is paid off and you have an emergency fund built up, okay? So, why do I say stop working? We have been doing this for 23 years now. Even before it was a business for us, I was making this, I was helping people on internet chat groups. What did we call them back then? What did you call them in the late 90s? Forums,
Well, they were bulletin
maybe?
boards.
Bulletin boards. And forums, that kind of thing. And nothing, absolutely zero, has changed. In the 23 years I've been talking to people about getting out of debt. 0.
But you don't know my situation.
I will even go so far as to say prices have not really gone up that much either. Did you hear that huge gasp? Did you hear that choking of Tara sound coming through the computer?
Mm-hmm.
This was even a topic of discussion today on our Save on Groceries Facebook group. And we are going, my assistant Heidi and I are going to be doing a video on this. But guys, grocery prices really have not gone up a lot. They really haven't. And Heidi and I are going to discuss that But
It's too bad Heidi's not here to be on the show with you in person.
I know. Well, I thought
a
about
whole new dimension.
I know. I thought about flying out to Minnesota and doing several shows with her.
Maybe she should come here.
Maybe she should come here.
She might like Colorado.
So here's the thing. Why do I say stop working? Because if you are a mom and you've got 1 or 2 kids in daycare, you are paying for daycare, you're paying for your car, you're paying for extra insurance, you're paying for extra gas, you're paying for work clothes. You are paying for lunch usually because you're too tired to fix your lunch. You're paying for your husband's lunch because you're too tired to fix him a lunch. You are paying for Christmas gifts, which, by the way, you should not be doing at the office. You are paying...
Actually, it's funny because I heard a thing on the radio the other day about how, yeah, you need to hire somebody, go with our channel because they're listening or they're doing something on our website or whatever while they're at work. And I was thinking, do you want to hire that person? Go ahead.
You are also paying for things like higher tax brackets. No one takes this into consideration. But if you are going from a 2-income family or from a 1-income family to a 2-income family, you pay more in taxes. And I will tell you that 9 times out of 10, and yes, it really is that many, 9 times out of 10, when a woman is working and they have small kids, they are earning $2 or less an hour after all the true expenses are taken care of. $2 or less an hour. That should bring you to tears. It really should. So,
actually, a number of people that have talked to us, when they realized that, they were kind of like, because they did the math themselves and realized. And earlier, she was live earlier, spontaneously signing books and talking to people. And one lady said that her daycare was $450
$415 a week.
And I was thinking, that's $20,000 a year. So if you have a $100,000 a year job, it might be worth it. But if you have a $30,000 a year job, you're making nothing because you have to pay gas and have extra things, clothes and all that Tara was talking about.
So I would like to suggest that if you are a working mom or even a working wife, that you would actually save more money if you stopped working, stayed at home, and started doing things like fixing your husband's lunch, fixing your kids' school lunches, fixing keeping your house cleaned up, keeping your house in order, keeping on top of the bills, keeping the bills paid so you don't have late fees and overdraft charges, doing things like shopping at thrift stores so you can save more on clothes instead of buying them new because you're tired and you don't think that you have time to shop at thrift stores, which, by the way, does not take any more time than just going to the regular store. I would like to suggest that you would save more money by not having to have an extra car insurance, car payments, whatever. Those kinds of things really add up. And that is exactly how we were able to pay off $20,000 of debt in 5 years on $22,000 a year income with 2 children, and $12,000 of that $22,000 was medical expenses.
So basically, we paid off our entire income in 1 year.
We did.
No, sorry,
5 years.
In 5 years, yeah.
So the problem is people just don't want to do what they need to do to get out of debt. And I would like to suggest that if you stop working and stay home, you just might actually save more money. Now, do we still have any viewers left after I said all that?
Yeah.
Wow, we do?
Yep.
Any comments on that one?
Not so far. Most of what I'm seeing is about the book.
Okay.
How long do you think it'll be until you know who can't get it by Christmas?
Probably Friday.
But if you ordered it before November 21st, then we definitely have enough.
Yes.
If after that is when we're not sure what point, sometime in the Christmas sale, it ran out.
Yeah.
So we were going to contact everybody, though, who we realized doesn't have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Tip number 2. So the first one is, I would like to suggest that maybe you stop working. And let me say, I very firmly suggest this. This is not a suggestion. If you came to me and gave me your expenses, you would have to be earning 6 figures for me to tell you that it's not worth it for you to work. And even then, if you have kids in daycare, I would really suggest that you reconsider it. Just because we have had family members who have had children abused in daycare before. And they just, literally the people went to jail. 16 babies were sitting in car seats for
In the
12
closet or in the
hours a
bedroom.
day.
Yeah.
It was horrifying. And yet the mom still went back to work, didn't take care of her child. I'm sorry.
They just couldn't.
I'm not turning this into a debate. This is the facts. People do not take care of your children as well as you do. And it's really sad to see those kinds of things that could happen that are completely preventable. They're completely preventable. So, next, number 2, sell your house.
Paige is asking, can you claim an adult you take care of on your taxes? I think you can,
Sometimes,
but
yeah,
it
sometimes.
depends on if you're paying
If
more.
they're dependent, I think.
If they're dependent, and that I think if you're paying more than half of their expenses, you might ask. Well, I would say ask an accountant, but if you don't want to ask an accountant, you can call the IRS office in Wichita because I know you're in Hutchinson. So
Oh, is she in Hutch?
yeah, it's Paige Rakestraw.
Maybe we should move to Hutch. Should we move to Hutch? We haven't tried Hutch.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2, sell your house.
What? Oh, so your fancy house?
Here's the thing. We live in the suburbs of Colorado, middle class all the way. But let me tell you, these people are not middle class. They are dirt poor. They may look like they're middle class, but they are poorer than those stones out in my yard. They have student loans, they have car loans, they have houses. They cannot afford it. They are stressed out to the max. They're buying houses that are $300,000 and $400,000, and they cannot afford them.
And then they're working a retail job. So there's just no way to afford that on a retail job salary most of the time.
So I would like to suggest, if you have a house and you cannot afford it, sell it. If you have to live in a mobile home, a trailer, we lived in one several months.
Oh, you're talking about
The Hoopy house.
I was going to say the
The house from hell. It was horrible. It was horrid. And I mean horrid. It was I called the city housing authority, and we were a block out of the city, and that's why our landlord got away with it. It was horrid. It was unsafe horrid. Okay? So, and you guys have heard my story before on all of that. We will tell it again if we need to, but we don't have time to go into that, how we ended up in that now. But you will survive in a bad neighborhood. Now, maybe if it's just absolutely gang infested, I look for something a step up. But, why is my teapot going off? But you can live in an area that is not so great, and you will be just fine, and you will live to tell about it. You need to stop letting fear run your life. Now, what can you do instead? You can do several things. You can sell your house and live in an apartment or a rental. People will say, oh, but I won't be making equity on my house. Here's the thing, guys. in most places, your house is not going up as fast as much money as you're spending on it. So all the repairs for the water heater, the appliances, everything that breaks down is about equal to rent. So if you need to rent, you are not losing money. You really aren't.
I think most of the time, if you're not paying a lot of extra, if you've bought your house in the last 5 years and you're just paying the regular payment, you're not really getting a lot of equity in your house.
No.
So, I mean, like here in Colorado, it kind of made sense when we did it because we bought the house and the market was at the bottom, and we were pretty sure it was going to go up, and it's doubled since we've been in the house. In that kind of situation, it may make sense, but in a lot of places, most places that we've looked at houses outside of here, the house prices are kind of flat for 50 years. Well, not 50 years, but they're flat for a really long time, 10 or 15 years at least. And so in that case, you're not getting very much. If you're in the first 5 years of the mortgage, you're only paying the interest mostly. So in that case, it may not be worth the maintenance and all that other stuff.
Now, do the math on that. Here's the thing, guys. We put a significant down payment on this house in Colorado when we moved here. And our house has doubled since we moved in. Our house payment... What is our house payment? $1,000?
Sorry.
Do you remember?
It's supposed to be $1,000, but they messed up the escrow account, so now it's $1,200.
$1,000 to $1,200. Even for us putting a significant amount of money on this house, that would be the same cost as renting a one-bedroom apartment. Now, in our situation, because we have the kids and everything, it would be as cheap to stay in this house as to rent an apartment in our house. But if you are like a parent with 1 or 2 kids, 5 and under, let's say, you're in a house, you can't afford it, get a one-bedroom apartment, put the kids in the bedroom, parents sleep on a pull-out in the living room. You can do that. You can rent a trailer house. You could move into someone's basement and pay rent. Something like that. But I would suggest that you sell your house if you cannot afford it until you get your debt paid off and can afford it. Okay? How am I doing?
Good, I think. Are you talking about anybody with a house or just people with a house that's more than they really should be spending?
Yeah. That's what I said.
Well, a house that's more than you should be spending. Because some people seem to think that you're saying they shouldn't buy a house at all. But if their house is not very expensive and rent would be more, then it makes sense to be in the house, right?
Yeah. If you can afford it, though. If you can't afford it, then I would, if you can't be in that house and be paying off your debt at the same time, I wouldn't do it. I would take that down payment that you were going to put on the house and pay off your debt.
And then move to somewhere cheaper.
And move somewhere cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing here in Colorado. The mortgages are almost less. Although, when Tara was talking about people that are kind of actually poor, but they look like they're middle class, many of our neighbors, we were thinking, wow, we start hearing them talk about their income, we're like, they make 3 times as much as us. And we're like, wow. So when we talk to them, they're both working, they make a lot more money than us, and they still have to borrow like $20,000 or $30,000 from their parents every year to pay their bills. And it's not worth it to me, that's like borrowing off a credit card, except when you're borrowing from mom and dad, it's going to create strife in the family eventually, because they're going to resent having to constantly pay bills for other people. So if that's the case where you have to think, man, what do I need to do to actually be in something I can afford with the money that I have?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, any comments I need to answer on that one?
Just mostly people talking about saving to buy houses and stuff like that, which is good. Just got here, no cooking tonight. Not tonight. We just got a big shipment of the books in for the sale that we had a month and a half ago. And Tara's signing them while we talk about getting out of debt. So,
Okay.
I could never borrow money from my mom and dad. I would feel way too guilty. Yeah, it was never an option for me. And Like with us, we just decided at the beginning, Tara is chronically ill.
Well, we didn't have parents we could really borrow from anyway.
But, well, yeah.
I think that's the problem. Parents bail out their kids way too much.
Actually, it's good if you're a parent to not necessarily... Sometimes you can enable the kids to try to put up with a situation that's just not working for them. And it'll just make their situation worse in the long term. Hi, Elizabeth from UK.
Hello, guys.
Oh, there was something I was going to say about that.
Jack? You do one more?
Oh, yeah. So with us, we kind of thought from the very beginning, Tara's chronically ill. At that time, she wasn't able to do anything. And even right now, she shouldn't be doing as much as she is. But, and we're taking steps to remedy that situation. But the thing is that for us, we kind of just had the idea at the beginning, Tara is not going to be able to do a regular full-time job. And I'm going to have to do that. And so that was sort of our understanding from the beginning, wasn't it? And so everywhere all along the way, our decisions are made based on the fact that that is not an option. It was not an option to borrow from our parents. Jill couldn't afford it. I wouldn't have asked my parents for other reasons. And so anyway, because those weren't options, we had to figure out how do we do this. And when Tara was talking about neighborhoods, you know, she doesn't mean like be in the absolute worst neighborhood where there's gunfire every night and all that. But most neighborhoods aren't like that, but people think they are. And that's the main thing, is to look at what is the actual problem in a neighborhood. Because we've lived in some neighborhoods, they weren't great neighborhoods, they were kind of but they weren't really super dangerous. And you know, of course, we aren't fearful people really, so that was a thing to take into mind. But we lived in some houses that weren't that spectacular, so we could get out of debt, so we could live in a nicer house. And then when we moved from Kansas to Colorado, we ended up getting into a lot more expensive house that was smaller. But now now, because we kind of picked it up on the low end of the market, if we sell it, we should be able to buy a house somewhere else that's a lot better. And it's not a bad house. So
Yana says, how do you get kids to shift their mind when they're used to more comfortable lifestyle? You use this phrase with them. Okay, you ready? You got a pen and paper? Are you ready? Okay, you ready? No. No is a complete sentence. No. So here's the thing. With our kids, since they were little, we use the word no frequently. No, you cannot have a toy at the store. No, I am not going to pay your car insurance for you. No, I am not paying your cell phone for you. No, I am not paying your clothes when you are out of school. No, I am not going to get you this food or that food. No, we're not doing that activity. No, we're not doing this activity. The thing is, you just have to tell them no. Really, it boils down to that.
But she was asking about, I think, kids that are already expecting that. And
then you're going to sit them down and you're going to say,
look,
you
here's
know
the deal.
what?
You know what? Somebody has to pay for this. And it's been me, but I just can't afford it. And I'm really sorry, but we have to choose between, do we live in a house or do we live under a bridge and you have a phone? And I think that's the kind of thing. It's harder if they're already accustomed to that. But we started with the kids from the beginning. My parents hid all of their financial information from us. And I had no idea. And I immediately went up and charged a couple of credit cards when I got in college because I thought that's what you do. And with us, from even a young age, we tell the kids everything about our finances. Oh, we're not doing very well right now. We have to be careful of this. And oh, this is a little better, but we're still watching out for this. And we give them specific numbers and we let them know what's going on. And it's not that we're not making them responsible, but they understand, oh, hey, it's not that we don't love them or something. It's just that we're looking to be responsible in a certain way with the money. Mm-hmm. And if you end up if you have a situation where the kids are already accustomed to that, then you're just going to kind of have a conversation with them and say, hey, sorry, somebody has to do this and it's been me, but our circumstances aren't that great and we just can't be spending this money. And if you if with us with the kids and phones and things, when they were teenagers, like when you're 16, you can go get a job, and then if you want a better phone or a fancier car or fancier clothes than we provide for you, then you can do that. You can work and make as much money as you want to do that.
Yep.
So basically, letting them know that there's some responsibility. And actually, I personally think that's a better educational thing for your kids anyway, because even if you can afford it, if you give them everything, they grow up with the expectation everyone else has to take care of me. So when they get out and they're working, they go to get a job. I've been hiring people that come to the place where I was the department director, and they had this expectation that I'm just going to give them something. I'm like, this is a business. We actually have to accomplish something here, and I'm looking to hire somebody in order to make this business work. And so if you teach the kids, even if you can afford it, hey, I'm really not going to spend all this money buying all this stuff just because you want it. If they're not used to that, it'll be a hard transition right at first, but it's a really good life lesson for them, because someday they're going to get out of college where they basically don't tell them that either.
Yep.
And they're going to go out in the world and say, oh.
Okay, so what do we do for our kids? When they're 16, they are allowed to get a job, pay for their own cell phone. If they are able to walk to school, they pay for their own car and their own car insurance. If they are not able to walk to school, meaning school is 2 miles or less away from home, is what I would consider a walking distance. Riding your bike, whatever. Bus, if they can't take the bus, whatever. Then we paid for their insurance until they graduated high school. Only because our kids went 40 miles to school for high school. That was partly why we did that. If they would have gone to the local high school, then, even our local high school is kind of far away. But if it was a neighborhood school, they would pay for their car and their car insurance. They pay for all clothes over a set budget amount. I give them about $75 a year for teenagers that they can spend on clothes. Anything over that, they have to use their money to spend it. Yes.
Shelly says, I love you. No is awesome. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. People are afraid to use the word no with their kids. Why did I do that? You are not your children's friend. You are their parent. You can be their friend after they are grown and moved out of the house. Or if it's an adult situation where the kid has to come back for a little bit, moving, illness, whatever. But you are not your child's friend. You are their parent, and it is your job to teach your children how to manage money. If you do not make them manage their money, they are not going to learn how to do that. And they need to learn how to manage their money. Okay, can you take that next one out? All right.
So Beach Wifey was asking how much are the cookbooks. We actually, these are our newer edition, and they're sold out for the moment.
You can, these are back ordered, and you can order them for $24.95.
Except I didn't change the price yet. Oops.
Okay, these are back ordered, and Mike forgot to change his price. If you want
wait,
a
no,
really
they're still
good deal.
$24.95. It's just free shipping right now.
Okay,
Sorry.
so if you want free shipping, you better run over to livingonadime.com, click on the store and grab them. He forgot to change it.
But
they're not going to ship until February 20th if you ordered today.
But we have Classic Edition, which is the Dining on a Dime we've sold for quite a long time that everyone loves. That one is available on there, and it's 20% off with free shipping also. So it's a really good book too. And especially if you're giving it as a gift. Yeah. It's awesome.
Okay, any comments?
Lots of people saying they love your nails.
Thank you.
And
anybody want to guess how much I spent on them?
How much Mike spent on them?
How much Mike spent on them? You want to know? Can I tell you?
Yeah.
$2. $2.
What?
Yes.
So Carolina, and it says what big ears Tara has, and then so does Two Family Homestead. I don't see any particular questions, but
happy Hanukkah to all our Jewish friends, by the way.
Yes.
All right, let's see.
Sorry, I was looking for more comments.
Oh, Hanukkah. Oh, Hanukkah. I heard the Hanukkah song on the show on the radio today, and I can't remember how it goes.
Is that a real Hanukkah song?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's been around like 20 years, but I didn't hear it. I couldn't remember it, I mean.
Let's see. I'm looking to see if there are any questions. Yeah, Eileen. She's quoting Dave Ramsey. Live like no one else, so one day you can live like no one else. It's true.
Yeah. And people keep telling us, oh, you're just lucky.
Oh.
People say that to me and I want to punch them in the nose. We are not lucky. We have worked darn tootin' hard. We have dumpster dived. We have had nasty couches that I have had to pray that some disease didn't come into our house that I've cleaned.
One time we couldn't afford it, so we didn't buy a refrigerator until we could.
We've eaten meat that a cat got into one time. We cut off the part that the cat ate and we ate the other half because we couldn't afford to go get new meat. We have worked hard to get to where we are, and luck has nothing to do with it. It doesn't.
Well, actually, there's something I was going to say too. When I was in college, I was walking down this one place and they're like, oh, here's a credit card. You deserve it. Do something nice for yourself. And I was like, yeah, because I was a dumb college student. I thought that's what you should do. And I realized that later on when we were trying to pay off our debt, I was like, I'm so irritated at that guy that took out that credit card and did that. And I realized you're stealing from yourself in the future. So if you're in debt, you're basically committing yourself to pay in the future for things that you've already used in the past and oftentimes don't even have anymore.
Yep. Okay, number 3, sell your car. All right. I know we're going to have 20 comments. I buy a new car for safety. That is a bunch of baloney. We have bought used cars for, we have never bought a new car, ever, in our entire lives, ever. And it has
We don't
never
want to.
been a safety issue. You need to stop being afraid. You need to start having a little faith. And you need to get a car you can afford, okay? There are cars out there all the time, $3,000 to $5,000 that you can pay cash for. There are cars out there that are under $1,000 that you can pay cash for and will be just fine. I am driving one right now, actually. It's still going. This car that is worth about $500, we just put 2,500 miles on, making 2 trips back to Kansas and Missouri from Colorado. It can be done, guys. So stop being afraid of your car breaking down. If it breaks down, you can take an Uber, you can take a Lyft, you can take the bus, you can ask friends or family members. If you have to lose a day or two of work, it's still cheaper than paying brand new for a car, especially the trucks. This buying a $50,000 to $100,000 truck is absolutely ridiculous.
I was shocked when I was talking to some
Ridiculous.
guys I know here that were telling me that they paid $80,000 for pickups. I was thinking, $80,000? I paid $800 for a pickup once.
Yeah.
And now I might pay $3,000 or $5,000 if I need it real bad.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, number 4. I'm just going to go through the rest of these and then we'll go through comments. Are you pulling comments?
Yeah, there were some questions
Okay.
about how much we pay on groceries.
Okay. So we'll pull the comments here. Let me get through the other 2. Sell your stuff. Oh, I should have done that.
Oh, sell everything.
I mean,
Everything that's...
first of all, stop buying stuff. Your tax return is not there to buy a new big screen TV. Your tax return is not there to pay for your vacation. Your tax return is there to pay off your debt. If you have a tax return, stop giving your money for the government to hold. Take and set your W-2 forms so that you are having the proper amount of taxes taken out so that you do not have a huge tax refund at the end of the year. The government is not a savings account. It's ridiculous. People say, oh, I wait for my tax income. Guys, that is crazy. Get it set correctly so you are using that money to pay off your debt right now quickly. Next, sell your stuff. Sell it all. You would be surprised the things that you can sell. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Facebook Marketplace. Put it on Craigslist. Tell your friends and family. My brother and sister-in-law just got all new appliances, and they're selling the old ones. Instead of having Lowe's take them away, they have sold the old ones. They have replaced the ceiling fans in their house, and they have sold some of the ceiling fans and lights. Even ones that are broken, they're putting on there for like $5-10. People buy this stuff. You will be amazed how fast your debt gets paid off when you start selling stuff. Mike had a Star Wars collection that he had when we were younger. And then in the late 90s, when some of the Star Wars movies started coming out, they ended up being worth something.
And then when the first movie came out, everyone hated it. So go ahead.
He sold them so that we could help pay part of our daughter's medical expenses and get it paid off. Sell whatever you can. Sell your purses, sell your shoes, sell your clothes. Just keep what you need and get rid of whatever you can and sell whatever you can. I'm not talking about family heirlooms, although if you're desperate and you're not using the family heirloom and it's sitting in the basement, I would sell it. Number 5. Think like a poor college student. Now, the problem with saying that nowadays, or number 5, think like a, did I say 5 or 4?
You said 5.
Okay, number 5, think like a poor college student. The problem is now, college students aren't poor anymore. It's kind of annoying hearing, I'm a poor college student, and you go
I'm adulting. Yeah. Sorry. I hate to say it, but if you use that phrase, you're probably not.
If you have to use that phrase, you're not actually an adult.
But we'd be happy to help you.
Here's the thing. It drives me crazy to no end the entitlement of these college students. They go in, I am not exaggerating. One of our kids was in college, $1,200 a month for a dorm room to share with someone and meals. There was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 station buffet in the cafeteria for anything they wanted.
Huge. Yeah, each station was huge.
They had a taco bar. They had a Chinese bar. They had a dessert bar. They had a hamburger bar. They had a Mexican food bar. They had a breakfast bar. They had a drink bar. It was ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. But if you think like a poor college students like they truly were back in the early 1900s to the mid 1900s, when people actually paid cash for their college, had some integrity, wouldn't go to college if they couldn't afford it, that kind of thing. That is the mindset you want to have. Get yourself some integrity, people. These are your debts. Get them paid off. And you do every single thing you can. What does that mean? That means no Starbucks. That means no eating out. That means no kids' activities you can't afford.
What?
That means no kids' name brand shoes. That means no kids' lessons. If you can't afford that stuff, you cannot afford it, and your kids will not die if they don't have it. You will not die if your nails are not done every 2 weeks. You will not die if you have to fix your own lunch. You have to cut back and think as if you had no money at all. And think to yourself, if I had no money, would I buy this? Or would I pay off my debt? And here's the thing. You will be surprised how few things you truly need if you start thinking that way.
Well, there was a time when I had to move quite suddenly when I had no money and was irresponsible and had just lost my job. And I was living in my car briefly. This was before I met Tara.
2 weeks.
And it only took me 2 weeks because I realized I have to figure out something fast. And boy, in those days I realized there's not very much you need. Because in those moments I was really thinking, what do I absolutely need? How can I get a job? And how can I make this work without anything else? And I realized you're not going to die, first of all. But I also realized you need like food and you need shelter and clothes.
But you don't need a lot of clothes. You need, technically, you
need
2 pairs of clothes. One to wear and one to wash.
So you can have more if you can afford it, but everything else is pretty much optional. And so I remember I was living in a house with roommates, and there was a TV in the house. And like, I'm just gonna watch this TV sometimes, and then I'm gonna go out and do my work and do other stuff. But you know, when you're in a moment where you think, what do I really need? Because when we were in debt, we were thinking, how can we cut more?
Yeah.
And something else, sorry, Tara already talked about getting rid of stuff, but most people have, especially in America, have a lot more stuff than they need. And most of that stuff, you'll probably never use it. You might be in a what if I need it once in my life kind of mode, which is where most people are. Just get rid of it. It's high stress to think about it. And if you get rid of it, you can probably make some money on it. And then you don't have to have such a huge place to store it. So, go ahead.
Yep. Okay. Comments.
Actually, there's one
Is
I said.
anyone still speaking to me after all of that?
Yep. There were several. Who was it that asked? There were a whole bunch, but where did I say? So, I forgot who it was. Sorry. Was asking about how do you know? Oh, Lee. How do you know the correct amount you should have your taxes set for? Is this to take out on your taxes? You actually get a W-4 at work, and it says on it if you have one job and your spouse doesn't work, or if you have, so it lists out a bunch of things, and that's a good way to start. You can also, even if you're not an accountant and you don't do your own taxes, it is so easy to just download the form off of the IRS website or go to the library and just kind of put in there what you think your income is going to be for the whole year. And you can just follow, it's like a choose your own adventure book, and you can get a pretty good idea how much it is. So as you're seeing them taking the tax out, you can say, man, it doesn't look like they're taking out enough, or it looks like they're taking out too much. But the form is a really good place to start, and I would lean towards them taking out a little extra if you're not sure. But we try to get it as absolutely close to that amount as possible, because we don't want to leave money sitting with the government. One thing real quick, when we were in Kansas, just before we moved away from Kansas, there was a time where the state was having trouble making their bills. And so they held people's tax returns for a while. Mm-hmm. And I heard a lot of my friends
You may not get your tax return back.
A lot of my friends were up in arms because they were saying it could be 6 months to a year before you get your return. They're like, well, how can they do that? I'm like, it's the government. They don't care. And so it's good to keep that money now and spend it on now's expenses instead of just letting it sit there while you're paying interest on your debts.
Do not expect the government to take care of you.
Yeah.
You need to be prepared to take care of yourself. And that is including things like emergency weather, emergency hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever. You need to be prepared to care for yourself. You need to stop expecting the government to bail you out for these things. And I will tell you, when I hear talk about the government paying off everyone's student loans because it's just so horrible. You made that decision to get your student loan. Why should I, as a taxpayer, because I have been responsible with my money, pay for you when you were not responsible for your money? It's not right. It is wrong. And the thing is, you can get out of debt, and it's hard work. But you're going to have to do the hard work to get out of debt. And you're going to have to make up your mind that you want to do the hard work to get out of debt.
And it gets to be a lot easier because as you go and you have a little success, your attitude about it will change. When Tara and I were first married, she said, oh, you know, you like to do photography and you like to go to movies. That's all got to stop till we get this under control. And because I was charging it and I didn't have the money, I was charging it. And I knew in my heart that she was right, but I wasn't happy about it. But after a couple of years, as we were kind of moving through the process and seeing some success, I was thinking, okay, this is a good thing. So there were somebody else asked about your spouse, but I might have to wait till we see if we can find that. We live like you all. We buy used vehicles all the time. I enjoy not spending money. Actually, it's funny. After a while, you get to a point where you realize that stuff isn't making me happy, so why spend the money on it?
Yeah.
Let's see. Christine says QVC offers food that is way too expensive and offers them on like 5 or 6 easy pays, which means you're paying for long
It's
after you've eaten
ridiculous.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, and I think that happens a lot with restaurants when people eat out. They put things on credit cards and they're paying for food they ate 5 years ago and the interest on top.
Yeah. Yep.
Loretta, no chores equals no allowance or money.
Mm-hmm.
Even toddlers can do chores. Children not
Yep.
being taught basic skills, doing laundry, simple cooking, and caring for their own personal needs.
Our kids, as soon as they are 18 months old, they are expected to do chores. What kind of
They have
chores?
to pay their rent.
What kind of chores does an 18-month-old do? They take their dirty diaper and they go put it in the trash. They pick up their toys when they're done. They pick up their bath toys when they're done. They can help with little tiny things like put plastic plates on the table, stuff like that. It's not perfect, but our kids started chores as soon as literally as soon as they could walk. They really did. They're about 18 months old. Mine walked before that, but I'm just saying around 18 months old.
And in those days, they like it. They're like, oh, I can be a big person and be doing something cool.
Yeah.
So,
So, how much to spend approximately on groceries for your family? And do you include BJ and Ellie working? Reason asking is I struggle every month. We are a family of 3 and we only have a Walmart and Dollar General. Nearest to Aldi's, Kroger's is 30 miles away. Okay, first of all, 30 miles is not far at all. I drive 15 for the closest grocery store, and I frequently drive 30 miles to get groceries. So 30 miles is not anything to buy groceries, especially in Aldi. If you can get your money, it would be worth your gas money to drive up there. Do the math. For me, I would drive 3 hours to an Aldi if it saved me that amount of money. And I would stock up for the month, bring it home, and go once a month. We spend $400 for 6 people. That includes about half of BJ and Ellie's meals. Not all of them. But, so I would say 5 people. We'll say 5 people. $400 for 5 people. BJ and Ellie do buy some of their own special foods that they like.
but that's an option. Like, I want Chinese today, so I'm not eating what you made. Okay.
Yeah.
You're 18.
So that's the kind of things that we do for that. So yeah.
Somebody asked if you could list the steps that we talked about before.
Okay.
And maybe a summary brief.
Okay. So the 5 steps. Stop working. If you're a 2-parent income home, 9 times out of 10, it saves more money for mom to come home than it does for mom to work. Sell your house. If you cannot afford your house, you need to sell it and get something cheaper or rent. Sell your car. You should have no car payments. 0 zip, 0 zilch. 0 zilch. Zip, 0 zilch. None. Whatever. None. Get rid of your stuff. Number 4, get rid of all your stuff. Sell everything you can. Absolutely everything. And then number 5, think as if you had no money and you were super poor. Would I buy this? Would I need this? If I really wanted to get out of debt, could I sell this? Does this really mean that much to me?
Yeah. Well, actually, something else you said about that. Something else is even if you can afford it, because when a time where we couldn't afford it, we were doing Christmas. I've told this before, but we were doing Christmas money, like at Christmas instead of gifts. Tara's family would give money if you wanted something if you were trying to save for something, and because no one person could pay for the cost of that, and so I would save, and they would give me Christmas money or birthday money or whatever, and I saved and buy something, and I'd realize, wow, almost as soon as I bought it, I kind of lost the luster and I wanted the next thing. And I realized there's a certain point where I started asking myself, do I really want this? And I found out if I just took that money and I let it sit there and I said, I'll buy it next week. And the next week I say, do I really want this? I think, well, I'll buy it when I realize there's a need for it at this moment. Because I bought the first 2 or 3 things that I had saved up for were just a disappointment to me. And I realized if you really think about it, most of that stuff you just go out and buy at the store, you probably don't really find to be that enriching to your life.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's the thing with student loans, guys. I'm telling you, you signed saying you were going to pay that loan. If you cannot do the math, you are in college. If you can make it into college, you can have the brains to sit down with a piece of pen and a piece of paper and figure out if that college degree is actually going to pay for itself. If you are going to college and you spend $40,000 on a degree to be a social worker, and you get out and you make $12,000 a year, that's not rocket science, people.
Except social workers usually need PhDs and they spend even more. Well, actually,
it's not rocket science.
If you're like a young person thinking I'm going to go to college and I'm going to take out a bunch of loans, you need to rethink that, because you're going to put yourself in bondage, slavery for the rest of your life. We have people that we know that they have pretty good jobs, but they're going to be paying on their debt till they're 70.
Yep.
And they're young. And I'm thinking that's just crazy. The thing is, you kind of need to think about it like cost benefit, like you would in a business. If I pay $20,000 to do this business thing, it better make 100. If it doesn't, I'm not really making money, and I'm just paying for the privilege to do it. If I spend 20 and I make 20. And it's funny because somebody called Dave Ramsey the other day, and that person was going to pay a certain amount of debt for an education, and it was going to take 5 years of paying every dime they had in that new job to get that. And he was saying, yeah, hey, that's not a good investment. And it's true. You need to do the numbers and think, if I'm going to pay for this college in the lifetime of how much I think I'm going to work in this job, I should make, 10 or 20 times as much as you should make a lot more than it costs you. Or else it's not a good investment.
And here's the thing. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it, period. That includes car loans, student loans, everything. I would say get a house mortgage, but if you have to spend more than about 25 to 30% of your income on a house, you cannot afford it. Christina, for your son who's 18, I would say that you are doing perfectly fine. He's only 18. Here's the thing. When kids are 18, they are not completely mature yet. So I think that is fine. Giving him a little bit of grace to get on his feet, that kind of thing, is perfectly fine.
But she also said he believes I'm charging him too much. If you think that's how much he should pay, then there's a point where if he believes it's too much, then maybe he can find a place that...
Well, yeah, he's free to move out and get his own.
That would be... we try to think about how can we help them to a certain point, but also to help them develop responsibility. Yeah. And the older they get, the more it's going to cost them to live here. And the idea is at some point they're going to say, hey, I don't want to do this. I'm going to go pay this other place that it's less expensive or whatever. Right now it's not less expensive, but we're moving in that direction. And I would just say, hey... if you want to give them a little more grace, that's fine. Or you could just say, sorry, that's kind of what I really need this to be. So if that doesn't work out, you're welcome to find another situation. And it's not like you're not, if you're telling them that, it's just part of life. It's not like you're saying, I don't love you anymore. But some parents feel like, especially if the kids are skilled at that.
Yeah. And parents, I do not believe you should pay for your kids' college at all, period. Ever. I honestly have not run into a situation where I think a parent should have paid for their child's college.
Yes, Mama Jen, I have a cold.
And as far as getting husbands on board, that's a whole nother show. We did a show on that a while ago. We've only got 5 minutes left, so we can't really get on that. Part of it is you may need marriage counseling if it's really bad. You may need to sit down and write out a budget, that kind of thing. That's kind of the short of it. But
because a lot of guys are visual, right? Well, seeing things on paper sometimes it might make it easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Debt is the number one cause of divorce in America. So, do you want to be married? Or because, we need to get this worked out. I mean, you're going to have to find a sort of diplomatic way to express that, but...
I know people with 4 university degrees because they couldn't work out what they wanted to really do, and now don't even use any of them, and they lost 10 years of the proper income so that they have wasted twice. Yeah, I know people, they just go to college because they don't know. If you do not know specifically what you are going to college for, and you cannot pay cash for it, you should not be going.
Well,
period.
And when you take out loans and you don't really think about the future, and you can go to the buffet every day, and you're living in whatever, it sounds like life is an easy street. And then when you get out and they hand you the bill, you're like, why do I have to pay this? Nobody's charged me this before.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
real
and
life.
Melanie had a good idea. She said she shifted the discussion from a debt repayment to a wealth building for her husband. Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. We had, it was horrible having to pay off the debt. We knew people who were having this and that and all these things. And we were like, okay, we're doing all this work for nothing. Now we are secure. We could sell our house, move to a different state, and not have to work for 2 years.
Yeah, actually we could.
And we have seriously considered doing that.
Horrid house story, please. Is that the Hoopy
Yeah,
house?
yeah, we'll have to do the Hoopy house one time, but it was really bad. And I mean bad. We are talking fly and mouse
We rented it before we
remains
got there.
in the oven, in the stove, this deep, and I am not
We didn't live in it
exaggerating.
that way. We cleaned it first.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things that were not really reconcilable.
It was bad.
Two Family Homestead says they're having a Hanukkah giveaway on Saturday, and they're giving a classic Living on a Dime, Dining on a Dime
Yay!
cookbook.
So guys, go watch Two Family Homestead. Go check out their channel. Check them out. Check out Bandana Grandma too, guys. She's
Hey,
one
wha-
of our favorites too.
One thing on that wealth building, just as a guy, I can say, if you can kind of get into his mind, hey, you know, we can go buy this new TV, or we can get to a place where we don't have to work as hard. Those things, if you think about it, it makes more sense.
Yeah. What do we do with the rent that we're using to pay off the kids' or that the rent that the kids pay us? We just use it to pay the bills and
We use it
pay
to
off
pay
the
the-
house, whatever we
Yeah, because
just the expenses.
we use it for the expenses, the part of the house expenses that they're using. Actually, they probably aren't covering all of the costs that are connected to them. But
Yeah. But and that's fine. And I will say, Susan, why not if you have the money to pay for your kids? Okay, if you are, here's the thing, Susan, if your house is completely paid off, if you are completely debt free and your retirement is set up and you are ready to go, you feel free to pay for your kids' college. I still do not think you should do it. And I will tell you why though. But if you want to, you go right ahead. But here's why I don't think you do. When kids don't have to pay for things, they don't value them.
yes.
That is especially true with a college degree. I am not saying this of every child. I know I'll get 15 comments saying, my kid's not like that. I get it. I know there's the exceptions. But I will tell you 9 times out of 10, when the parent is paying for the kid's college education, the kid is messing around. The kid is not buckling down, figuring out what they want to do to go on. Guys, you do not have to go straight to college when you're 18. It is okay to go to college later in life if you figure out something else you want to do. It's perfectly okay.
Well, and a lot of people when they're that age really have no idea. They know they're supposed to go to college. They don't have any idea why or what they want to do, and they're going to waste the money. But I would say if you have the cash and you're in a good financial situation and you want to help your kid out, it might be good to give them some of it if you want. But then they're still responsible for that cost. It's like when I was 16, I went to Europe. I paid for myself to go by working at a grocery store. All these other kids, their parents paid for them. And all they did was lay around the hotel room and get drunk and puke on themselves the entire trip. And I left them and I just went and I had the awesomest Europe tour until Ellie and I went 2 years ago. And then when Ellie and I went, keeping that in mind, we could have paid for her, but we said, hey, okay, so you
She
pay for
appreciated
yourself.
it.
And she wanted to pay for herself because it made her feel proud to do that. I did kind of not charge her as much as it actually was for her, but the idea was she's participating in it and she'll value it more.
Yeah. Yeah, Bandana Grandma's husband went to college when he was 28 and had 3 kids. You guys should go listen to her story. Go to Bandana Grandma on YouTube. It's a really good story.
Grandma with 2 M's.
Yeah. So anyway, so guys, that is how you get out of debt. It is a lot of hard work. I'm not going to tell you it's easy.
But it's so awesome when you're not paying those things anymore.
It is great. And I think that it's horrid. I think it's absolutely horrid these emails we get from parents who are in their mid to late 60s. They are in hock up to their eyeball, and they are still paying for their children's college. They have no retirement. Their house is not paid off. They have debt, and they are having to work past retirement because they have spoiled their kids. And that's exactly what it is. They have spoiled their kids. And I'm talking to all you people on here who are commenting about that.
There's
You
some good comments
are
on here.
spoiling your kids when you do that. I am trying to give you a wake-up call so your life is not miserable when you need to stop working or you have to stop working. There are people who are physically ill and really need to stop working, but they can't because they have ruined their life by spoiling their kids. So I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to give you a wake-up call because it is just wrong. It's absolutely horrible when we see these emails. They come in all the time. All the time, guys. They come in.
Oh, people are
all the time.
devastated. They're
All
just
the time.
devastated. Well, something else I was thinking about as I see some of the comments is, we've told our kids since they were very young, like 12. We started telling BJ and Ellie and not so much David, but I think we have. We've told them our job is to make sure that by the time you're 18, you can take care of yourself if something happens to us. Mm-hmm. Our mission isn't to kick you out when you're 18, but we're training you to be able to take over responsibility for your own life. And someday when we get old and we can't do it anymore, you may end up helping us. But the thing is, our job now is to raise you up so that you can function in the world on your own. And so many people I know, the parents are so involved in their lives that when the parents die, those people spin out of control and have no idea how to do anything for themselves.
Melissa, to give you the short version of how much we spend on our kids for Christmas, we're going to do a video on that, but we spend about $100 per kid on Christmas, is a give or take.
And we get a lot of stuff for $100.
Yeah.
Because we don't buy the
We do not buy
way.
gifts anytime except for Christmas and their birthdays. We do not buy them any gifts. Anything they want for the rest of the year, they have to use their own money to buy it.
Your mom had a really good point about college. She said you also kind of put a guilt trip on the kids if they decide not to use the degree and they feel bad not using it because you paid for it. And they might stick with the job they don't like because they feel like they owe you.
Oh, we have comment after comment of parents who are in their mid-60s who cannot pay for their retirement, have paid for their kids' college. Their kids have spent $150,000 on college, decided they didn't want to be a lawyer anymore, and they wanted to go work in construction. This is the truth.
Yeah.
And the parents were angry with the child for not using the college degree. Parent, that is your fault.
If you agree to
Your
pay
fault.
for adult kids for anything, even as in college is one of those things, you cannot get upset with them later if they just throw it away.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's human nature. Most people are going to get upset. And it's kind of like loaning money to your kids and having an agreement for them to pay you back. If you give them money, you better be prepared to let that money go.
Yeah.
Because if it gets to a point where they can't pay or they don't want to pay and you want them to pay, it's going to break the relationship. And is the relationship more important or the money? You need to keep that in mind ahead of time because later on it's going to break everything up.
Yes. And Melinda said, I felt I should pay for my kids to get a skill for less than a year or so they can afford college. I would say that's probably okay. I would say that's okay. I would say if you pay for your child for a year or 18 months to get a trade school type skill and then they can pay, I would be okay with that. I really would. Where I come into the problem is these college degrees that the kids don't know what they're doing. They don't know if they even want to do this or not. They switch degrees back and forth.
Mom and Dad go to the high school meeting with them and they tell you all about all the debts you can borrow and how you can get on with your kid.
Yeah.
And then nobody really thinks, why am I doing this? What is the benefit in my life? Mm-hmm. It's funny because Ellie and BJ went to a high school where they could have gotten associate's degrees. And they were going,
free.
And they were going part of the way there. And they were just both struggling greatly. And Ellie went to the counselor one day, and the counselor said, "You have to take this class and this class and this class." And Ellie said, "Yeah, but what is that going to do for my life? How's that going to benefit what I'm trying to do in my life?" And I was thinking that was a pretty bright question for a high school kid. Mm-hmm. And so she came to us and said, "I'm just totally stressing out over this. I don't know if I can make it." And we were thinking, we already know she's probably more entrepreneurial than wanting to go get a job. And so we were thinking, okay, here's the thing. This is how much you have left to the associate's degree. This is how much it costs to go to this community college where you're getting this associate's degree. So if you drop it and decide to take it up later, this is how much it's going to cost. And we thought, cost-benefit analysis. Okay, it's probably worth that risk because you're probably not going to want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, MK Lone Star said, I had it thrown in my face just today that I didn't value the education my grandfather paid for and dropped out instead of finishing. My word, that was back in 1990 and it's still being thrown in my face. Parents, you stop that. That is wrong. If you are paying for your child's education or you are paying for anything for your child at all, do not throw it back in their face. That was your choice. You made the decision to give them that money. And if they choose not to use it for what they wanted, you should not have given it to them in the first place. I'm sorry. If you want to say, I'm going to give you this money so you use it for this, that's fine. Don't give it to them then if they're not going to do that. But to hold it over their head, that is absolutely wrong. Flat out, period.
But you know what? I have had family that gave money to other people saying, "I'm giving this money to you because I want you to use it for this." And then when they got the money, they didn't use it for that. And I'm thinking, the thing is, if you give somebody something, you have to be prepared to let it go. And the same thing with them. And so these issues can cause divisions between you and your kids or you and your parents. And you should be really cautious about not doing those things.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for watching us. Please like, subscribe, and share, and ignore Jack's nose there. We will see you guys on Wednesday, and tomorrow we're going to be shipping your orders and shipping and shipping and shipping.
We called in reinforcements and everything.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So, anyway, have a great night, guys. We will see you next time. Please visit us at livingonadime.com.
Bye.
Say bye, Nan.
Bye,
Throw Nan
people.
kisses.
Oh, somebody's got to stop the broadcast.
Throw Nan kisses.
All right, I will go.
Oh, can you get out to get the broadcast?
I will stop this broadcast.
I'll sit here and smile pretty until we're gone.
Good night, everyone.
There's Nan. Nan said, "Hey, Jack."
From the mouth of Jack.
I'm sorry, I didn't.